Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel Marketing Data.
In this video, I want to show you how to create a Gmail account, otherwise known as a Google email account. And there's a lot of reasons why you would want to do this, besides the fact that Gmail is simply free. By having a Google account, whether it's Gmail, as I'm going to show you here, or AdWords or AdSense or some other Google account, it opens the doors for you to be able to use a lot of different applications that are free if you got a Gmail or some other type of Google account. Applications like the Google Drive or the Calendar or Google Docs and so many more. So let's go ahead and go to Gmail or Google Mail. There we are, mail.google.com. And we want to create an account. And you may encounter different ways in which you can do this, but this is just one way. So we need to enter our name first and last, choose a username, and one tip here is that if you have a domain name, you may want to try putting that domain name in here so you have a Gmail account that can be used in conjunction with your domain name and email accounts with your domain name. Then we just throw in the password, confirm the password, put in your birthday, month, day, and year, and your gender, mobile phone if you want. If you don't have a mobile phone, just leave it blank. Put in your current email address. And frankly, in here, I just put in my main email address. And then just to prove that you're not a robot, you got this little CAPTCHA stuff to put in here. And then the location. Click on that box there to agree to the terms of service. And then click on the next step. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video real quick while I fill out all this stuff here. As you can see, it's very straightforward stuff. The only hiccup might be your desired username might already be chosen by somebody else. So again, just play around with it. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video here for a second while I fill in the blanks. Let's go ahead and throw in a hard to guess password. And if you want to use this alongside of a Google +1 account, then you make sure that box is checked. And as you saw, it's checked by default. So I'd say go ahead and leave it checked. Click on next step and see if we got everything right on this page. And we did. There's our new Gmail account right there. And we click on this here. It'll take us to the next page where we're logging in. And you got your welcome emails. And if you've got the time, I would say go through the process here to learn more in the Help Center and throughout all the Gmail stuff, more about what you can use your Gmail account for. That's going to bring us to the end of this video on creating a Gmail account. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. This video is going to show you just how easy it is to create a Google alert. Now, a Google alert is an email that Google sends you when Google finds new results like videos or web pages or newspaper articles or pretty much anything that match your search terms. You can use Google Alerts to monitor anything on the web. For example, you can set up alerts on your name or company name to help you with your reputation management. Now, let me tell you, reputation management is a fast-growing industry, and while I'm not saying all they do is create Google alerts, I am saying that before you spend hundreds of dollars on that type of service, you might want to try this first. And hey, even if you're still going to go with a reputation manager, then what harm will it do to at least do this as well? For free. And there are many other reasons to use Google Alerts besides just knowing what others are saying about you and your company. For example, you can keep up to date on a competitor. You can gather content related to a product that you're researching and much, much more. Anyway, creating a Google Alert is super simple to set up. Let's go ahead and do that now. You want to log into your Google account, and I'm going to be demonstrating this by using a Gmail account. And if you don't have a Gmail account, you really ought to. It opens up the doors to so many free applications that Google offers. And besides, again, it's free. Okay, so I'm already logged into my Gmail account. What we can do at this point is, let me see, I'm looking for a bell up here. No bells. Okay, I'm just going to click on this guy here to get me to Google. You can come on in here to More, or I believe you can even go to google.com, where we're already at, /alerts. I think that'll take us there. Yep, there we are. You can also do the same thing by going into More. The problem with this, though, is that you're going to see all the other goodies that Google offers for free, and you may be distracted, and it could take hours before you get to alerts. Okay, that said, all I want to do at this point is type in whatever search query I want, And it can be just a name, maybe your competitor's name, or maybe a type of dog you're wanting to do a product research on, or anything. So let's say I'm doing some research on a particular dog breed, and as I type that in, it gives you some results right here. Now, technically it's called a chow chow, so you might get more specific by typing in the actual name. Maybe, maybe not. Okay, we do get a little bit better results here. And then the result type. Do you want everything related to these search queries? Or you want just that in the news? You want that related to blogs or videos, discussions? I would just go with everything, and then I could always change this later. How often? You've got these options here. And again, these are all personal preferences here. How many? Only the best results, all results. Again, totally up to you. And where do you want it delivered to? If you do not have a Gmail account that you're logged into, then you can just type in the email account that you want it delivered to right here. Or you could hit this and you have it set up into a RSS feed. And here we'll show all of the alerts that you've got created, and you can edit them accordingly. Going back up here, and we click on Create Alerts, and you can click on Edit if you wanted to. At some point down the line, maybe you wanted to change this to a different delivery time frame or a different type of volume. And if we check out the Gmail now, let me see if I've got anything in here. Nope, not just yet. But it won't be long before I get that first email related to that search term. And that's how easy it is to create and manage your Google Alerts. That's going to bring us to the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching, and you have a great day. Hello and welcome to the Introduction to cPanel. cPanel is a graphical, web-based web hosting control panel designed to simplify administration of websites. You might even hear the term GUI used from time to time to describe cPanel, and basically that just stands for Graphical User Interface. Now all this stuff means is that cPanel has a bunch of easy to recognize images to show off the different applications. Now, we're going to check these out here in just a second. Now, I'm going to guess that you already have a domain name and a web hosting account, and that web hosting account offers cPanel and not Plesk or some other type of custom control panel. Now, you can access your cPanel control panel a couple of different ways, but you're going to need to go to your browser, and in this instance, you're going to enter your domain name /cPanel, that's C-P-A-N-E-L, and then we're going to log in with the username and password that was sent to us by our web hosting company in that first email we got when we first bought the service. Let's go ahead and do that first. Now I've got two different tabs here because these two tabs represent two different web hosting companies that I use. And that's going to demonstrate the different look or the different applications available depending upon the web hosting company you use. So in this case, we've got our domain name in there, /. Well, you'd think I've done this before. And then type in C-P-A-N-E-L. And had I not just logged in earlier, I would have been presented with a login box. Let me go ahead and log out like this. And in this case, I would enter the username and the password that I received in that initial email from that web hosting service. Now, as you can see up here in the browser bar, we've got this little padlock and the HTTPS. That signifies that we are logged in securely. Now let's do the same thing over here, and a different way to log in is you type in the domain name in the browser bar like we've got there, and instead of a / in cPanel, we put a colon, that's the two dots, and then a number, either 2082, that's the unsecure login, or 2083, like this, and that's the secure login method. So let's try the 2082. And we're presented with a box, and even this one looks a little bit different than the box presented to us on that other company. And here we are. Now, another thing, in addition to being logged in not securely, which is fine for the most part, we're also left with our domain name in the browser bar. Whereas with this one here, that's logged in, or in this case, not logged in, but if it were logged in securely, it would have the server name instead of the domain name in the browser bar. Let's go ahead and log out of here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Just 2083. And we're presented with the login box where we put the username and the password. Log in. And here we are with the padlock and the HTTPS and the server name. No longer is it showing the domain name. So those are the different ways in which you can log in. Now another way, which really isn't a way that's used very often, at least ways by me, and that is by using the IP address that is initially given to you when you first sign up with that hosting account. Because whenever you first sign up with a hosting account, you're providing them, for the most part, with a domain name that they can then attach to that hosting account. Now, instead of that domain name being immediately accessible to that hosting account, because it's got to propagate, as they call it, through the internet first, which can take a couple of days or so, instead of waiting for that, they give you, they being the web hosting company, give you an IP address that you can use to log in. Now, no matter how you log in, you're going to be presented with the same homepage, the same interface. And what's going to be different, though, whether you're logged in securely or not, let's go ahead and log into here real quick. So whether you're logged in not securely or securely, you're going to be presented with the same front page, the same interface. What's going to be different, though, is the applications available, again, depending upon the web hosting service you're using. For example, just at a quick glance, if I toggle back and forth between the two, you'll see one difference is right in here, where on this account, I'm given this particular application, R1 Soft Restore Backups, and that's not available on this one. But on this one, I've got, what is that, Anonymous FTP, but not on this one. No Anonymous FTP on this one. So again, it just depends. The thing, though, is that if you see an application or you encounter an application either through this video or another video or some other means, and it's something that you might be interested in using, simply contact your web hosting company and tell them, hey, what's the worst that's going to happen? They'll say no. But a similarity between cPanels, no matter what hosting account you're going to have, is the setup. You're going to have different panels with these different applications here. And on the left side, you're going to have a column of information, the stats, and you're going to have frequently accessed areas, which you can zip to by just clicking on the links here. These are areas that I've been frequently accessing, and you can do a search here, and there might be some notices in here too. Basically, I find this is more of an advertising area than anything else for the web hosting company. But under the stats here, be familiarized with what is available here, because in some scripts that you're going to use, they might require you to know the path to SendMail or the path to Perl. So at least ways now you know where it is. You may not have to ever know what it is, but at least now you know where it is in case you need to know. And you can collapse those stats, which is usually the case by default. Now over here under the different panels you've got, you can drag these back and forth to your own personal preference. So speaking of preferences, if you find that you never use this one, stick that puppy down at the very bottom. Put one of the more frequently accessed panels closer to the top. Again, just for convenience, just for personal taste. Totally up to you. And you can also collapse these guys just to get them out of the way, like so. And that's going to bring us to the end of this video on an introduction to cPanel. Thank you very much for watching, and you have a great day. In this video, we're going to create an email account for our domain name. In the Mail panel here, you just click on the Email Accounts, this guy right here, and then you enter the name for your email address right here. And if you've got several domain names assigned to this particular cPanel account, you'll have a drop-down box here, at which point you simply select the domain name that you want to create this email address for. Now, myself, I always create at least 3 email accounts for every one of my domain names. And this is just for me, but with a lot of different web hosting accounts, you can have an unlimited number of emails. Let's back up here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Over here on the left panel, under email accounts, you'll see here where I've got an unlimited number available. And currently, I've got only 3 of those unlimited created. So we come on back here into email accounts. The ones that I create for every one of my domain names is name, that would be my name, at, then the domain name. Another one is sales, at, then the domain name. And the third one is support, at, then the domain name. Now, like with this particular web hosting account, I can have as many different email accounts as I want. So, for example, if I were to hire some outsourcing work, I can assign an email account for that particular person or persons. And once they've completed their task, then I can just come in and delete that particular email account. So in this case, let's go ahead and add Joe at this domain name, give it a password, and I'm going to use the password generator because that's usually pretty solid. Just copy this, and you can always hit this generate password to change this, and you want to tick that box there, and you've got some advanced options here, but that's a little beyond the scope of this video. Go ahead and click on use password, and be sure and paste that or save that password somewhere because that's going to come in pretty handy later on. Now here under the mailbox quota, you can either go with the default amount, or you can choose unlimited, or you can adjust this. Now you can always come back later on and adjust this if you find that you're using close to or getting ready to exceed the mailbox quota space that you've allotted yourself here. So really that's why I always go with unlimited, but that's just me. Then just click on create account. Now you see I've already got an error here because that one already exists. Anyway, that's how you go about creating it, and you know now what will happen if you try to create two email accounts with the same name. That said, you can always come in here and change the password. You can change the quota right here. That's what I was talking about here. And you can always just delete it here. Let's go ahead and see what's under the more options. Oh yeah, you can access the webmail account, and you can configure an email client. This email client they're referring to here is kind of like your Outlook Express, or I think that might even be gone now, Windows Live Mail, or like in my case, I use Thunderbird, which is made by the folks that create Firefox. So we take a look at the Access Webmail. Tell you what, let's come on back here for a second. That would be this right here. Now I don't use these myself because like I said, I use Firefox, but anytime that you create an email account, they're automatically viewable here in any one of these because they all show the same thing. They just show them in different ways. For example, under Horde, this was probably the more powerful of the three. Click on login. I say powerful because it also allows you to create filters, which is a little beyond the scope of this video, but you can create filters. You can do all kinds of stuff here. But here's where you can look at the inbox, the messages that have come in here, and these are the same things that would show up in my Firefox or my Outlook Express or my Outlook or Windows Live Mail or whatever third-party email client you might use. So we come on back here. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and get out of here altogether. If we were to take a look at the email account, then come on down here to configure email client. In the event you were going to use this with like Windows Live Mail or Outlook 2000 or Outlook Express, then you've got the ability to do so right here. They can walk you through the entire setup process, and you've got all the details over here that you're going to need to be able to effectively activate that third-party email client. And there's a lot of other things you can do by creating additional email addresses. For example, you might be able to set up autoresponders or mailing lists set upon a particular email address that you create here. And that's going to bring us to the end of this video on creating an email account. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. In this video, I want to talk to you about creating email forwarders. And in the mail panel of your cPanel control panel, what we're talking about is these guys right here, forwarders. Now, while there may be several different reasons why you would want to create a forwarder of your email accounts, my main reason is time, saving time. Time is money, so in this case, I'm going to be saving money too. Now, as far as the forwarders, basically, what I mean by that is that I've got several domains, and each domain I have at least 3 email addresses assigned to that one domain. My name, sales, and support. Now, there may be several other emails, but that would just save me that much more time if I were to forward those also. So I forward each and every one of my emails to a main email account, and that main email account is kind of a catch-all for all my emails. So I need to go to one email address to check my emails, not a bazillion different email addresses, which takes a lot of time. Now, these forwarders, they allow me to see not just the email, but the email address they were sent to. So whenever I reply, then that reply comes from that particular email address, not from the one they were forwarded to. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, that's pretty much the why. Let's go ahead and tackle the how. Go ahead and click on the forwarders link. It's very simple too, by the way. Now, of course, to do this, you have to already have the email addresses created, which is done by clicking on the email account link here. So once you've got your email addresses created and you want to forward them to a different email address, click on Add Forwarder. Choose that email address that you've created, and if you've got several different domains, then you want to make sure you've got the right domain and the right email address that you're going to be forwarding. And this is my name at my domain name. I'm going to forward it to my main Gmail account. Assuming, of course, that would be my main Gmail account. Click on Add Forwarder, and it's done. That's how simple it is. And it shows right here what is taking place. Now, if we go back, there'll be a running list of all the email forwarders that you create here. You can use the trace link and you can delete them. Now, if you wanted to just not worry about individual email addresses to be forwarded, you can just forward all of them that are assigned to a particular domain name using this option right here, the Add Domain Forwarder. The process is basically the same as adding a forwarder to an individual email address, only this way you're doing it to everything that might come into that domain in the form of an email. And that is how you create an email forwarder. This video is going to show you how to create a MySQL database. And yes, it's pronounced MySQL, not MySQL. So the next time you're at a dinner party discussing databases, and frankly, why would you be at a dinner party discussing databases? But that's a different story altogether. Now you won't sound so much like a dork. It is pronounced MySQL. Many applications or scripts require the use of databases to manage a boatload of information for them to work properly, and knowing how to create a simple database will save you time and money from having to hire somebody else to do this very simple task. Well, simple once you know how. I've got a little bonus for you close to the end of this video, so don't go anywhere until the video finishes, okay? Okay, let's get started. Oh, and be sure and have a notepad or pen and paper handy to copy some of this info down. This is going to come in pretty handy. Now, we log into our cPanel control panel. Come on down here to Databases. And right here under MySQL Databases, you just click on that. And there's going to be three things you're going to need to copy down. That's the name of the database, the name of the username, and the password for that username. So, starting at the top, working our way down. We want to give the database a name. Now, this is the prefix, which is going to be part of the database name and database username, but we're not going to need to enter that. It's already part of the whole mix. Let's just give it a name and click on Create Database. See? Pretty simple so far. And that's the name of our database right there. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that down into a text document. And by the way, these three items, that being the database name, the database username, and the database username's password, these three items are what's going to be required for most scripts that are requiring the use of a database to be able to connect that database to that script. And that's what I'm going to demonstrate for you here at the end of the video. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that, add that to a text document. Now, for simplicity's sake, what I usually do is give the username the exact same name as the database name. And so far, I've never run into any problems doing things this way. So, hey, if it ain't broke, why fix it, right? So, coming on down here, I want to give the username a name. And I always use the password generator to create a very strong password. So let's just click on that, and if I'm not happy with that one, which I don't know why it wouldn't be, but if I wasn't, then I can click on this to generate a new one until I was happy with a nice, hard to guess password. Copy that into my clipboard, check that box there, click on Use Password, and it tells you right there you've got a 100 by 100 very strong password. Click on Create User. I'm going to go ahead and paste that password right here because that's still in my clipboard. And the username, again, is the same. In this case, it's the same as the database name. Now, you don't have to do that. You can give these two guys here totally different names. Again, I'm just doing this for simplicity's sake, and frankly, that's the way I always do things. Go back. Now, we're almost done. We've got the database name created, we've got the username created, and we've got a password for that username. Those are the three items that we're going to need to assign this database to function with a script. But we need to assign this user certain abilities for that particular database. So to do that, we want to come on down here, Add User to Database. And you can in fact add different users to this same database, but that's beyond the scope of this video. Right now I just want to add this user we just created, test, to this database that we just created, test, and click on add. And we're almost done. These are the various privileges for that database. Now there are some scripts, very few, but some scripts that only require you to have certain permissions or privileges for that database to work for that username. Most of the time I just don't want to come back here later on and add a particular privilege, so I just check that box right there, give them all the privileges. Again, unless specifically telling you not to, I just go ahead and grant all privileges to that user for that database, click on make changes, and we are good to go. Go back and we're done. That database is created. It's got a username created. That username is assigned to that database, and if you ever wanted to get rid of that particular user, click on delete. If you ever wanted to get rid of that database, click on delete. Now if you want to totally clear things out, you want to delete both, that being the database and the user. Now, as you can see right now, that database is completely empty. Let's head on over to our PHP admin to take a look at the inside of that database. We come on down to the databases panel, and that's the PHP My Admin right here. Now if you have several databases created, then they're going to be listed for you over here. And this is the one I want to show you right here. This is the one we just created, and there are no tables to be found here. Now what I want to do is I want to import tables that I exported from a WordPress installation. And if we come on back here, let me show you. This is a WordPress database that's fully stocked. These are the various tables, and some of these tables have items. Actually, all these tables have something in there. Well, most all these tables have something in there, and that's what we're going to almost replicate. So I'm not exactly sure where this WordPress site's located at, but if we come on back here, that's what it's going to look like here in a second for this guy. Now I want to import the SQL file that I exported from a previous installation of WordPress. So I click on import, and I want to leave all this stuff pretty much the way that it is, especially if the file I'm going to be importing is an SQL format and not one of these other guys. And I know that it's an SQL format. So right now I want to choose file, navigate to the location where I've got that SQL file, then select it, click on open. And you see right here in this particular instance, I've got a maximum file size allowed of 50 megabytes. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more, just depends on your web hosting company. And then once everything else is set up the way that I want it, and by default most every single time it is, click on go, and it's doing its thing. It's populating that blank database with all those tables from that imported SQL file. And as you can see down here in the lower left corner, you got the progress going. We're almost completed. And import has been successful. Got 247 queries executed, and here we are. We can see all the various tables that were imported or created from that imported file, and come back here and look at the structure. There you go. And that's how you can not only create a MySQL database, but how you can import an SQL file to automatically populate that database. That's going to bring us to the end of this video on how to create a MySQL database. Thanks for watching.